Hey, what's happening, everybody? PowerStroke Jude here, man. I hope everyone's having a great night. Sorry about that. I just kicked the table. But check it out. The video I'm going to do tonight is real similar to the very first video I ever did and the most recent video I ever did. First video was an introduction video to my channel. I talked a little bit about myself, but what I didn't talk about was how I got into the field, and that's what I'm going to elaborate more on today. The last video I did was about TTS, Teck's Talking Shop. Check us out on Instagram, Teck's_talking_shop. I mentioned all the people involved, and I'm going to do it again. Myself, PowerStroke Jude, Antonio Orozco, Nuts and Bolts with Tone, Key Built It, Kentucky Teck, Teck Made, Princess Jamie, Turbo TyTy, Davion Martinez, and one mechanic. And like I said last week, or my last video, we're a group of mechanics that have a large area that we cover, from fleet mechanics to independent shops to dealerships to mobile to over the road trucks, equipment. I think pretty sure Kentucky Tech's worked on big equipment, heavy equipment. Like I said, it's a variety of different things that we work on. So if we cover a topic, you're going to get a variety of different perspectives and opinions, whether it's a tool or shop life or whatever it is. And I think that's going to be fun. But like I said, that's kind of real similar to the last video I did. I didn't know that we were going to initially do one type of video, but as a group, we decided to change it up and do bios or profiles, and backgrounds, which is kind of what I did last time. But I had already released that. It was on YouTube before we decided to do it this way. So, like I said, I introduced myself. I introduced the TTS again, Teck's Talking Shop. I talked about the guys, and now I'm just going to give you guys a little bit about how I got into the field. As a kid, my mom and dad divorced when I was a kid, but I spent some weekends with my dad once in a while. Not too many. He wasn't around all the time, but when I did see him, he was always working on something, some kind of vehicle, because he never had one that ran well. So I used to watch him or hand him tools or whatever, and I kind of liked it. It was kind of cool. Always stuck with me. Worked on bicycles and skateboards and stuff. Always had a tool in my hand. As I grew up. Went to high school, took shop. My shop teachers told me and a couple other guys, hey man, you guys might have this in you. You guys might be able to turn wrenches for a living. And he brought in a recruiter from a school called the Phoenix Institute of Technology, PIT. And the recruiter came in and talked to us and sold us on a school. I packed up, I graduated high school in June of 1991, 17 years old, packed up, and I was living in Phoenix, Arizona in September of 1991, still 17 years old. I didn't turn 18 until November. So I spent about 2.5 months, as a 17-year-old kid straight out of school, whoa, deer in the headlights, living on my own. Got a job at Jack in the Box while I was going to school. I would work from 5:30 to noon, I think, at Jack in the Box. Take a bus to work from 5:30 to noon, walk to school because it was about 2 miles from Jack in the Box. And then I would go to school from 2 to 10, 10:30, whatever it was. And then I would either catch a ride with someone that lived in the apartment complex that the school set me up with. It was a school housing, so someone usually gave me a ride. But once in a while, I'd have to take a bus home. And even one time I walked, and it was a long walk. I remember that, especially at night. For whatever reason, maybe it's because I was young. I didn't finish Phoenix Institute of Technology. I left after the transmission. Like I said, I did basic engine, I did brakes, I did transmissions. I did like five phases, but I left. My grandmother passed away. I said, I have to leave school, for the funeral. And I made that into an excuse not to go back. I was young. I was stupid, whatever. My mom, when I got back, she was like, all right, cool. Well, you're not in school. You're not out of high school. You're not, going to further your education. She's like, you got to get a job. So I got a job as a telemarketer. Sucked. Didn't like it. but I was right across the street from a place called Puente Hills Toyota, and I happened to see in the newspaper one day that Puente Hills Toyota was hiring a porter. So I called them up, set up an interview, filled out the app, set up an interview, and went, and I thought I did a pretty good job in the interview, but I still called my mom and I said, "Hey, Mom, you work here at Puente Hills Toyota. Go talk to this guy, Bill Watson. He was the service manager. I'm gonna tell him to give me a job." She's like, "All right, I'll go see what I can do." So my mom went and talked to this guy, and my mom, like I said, she was divorced from my dad, so her last name isn't Santa Cruz. Her last name is Enriquez. So she goes and talks, or it was Enriquez. She goes and talks to the service manager, Bill Watson, and tells him, "Hey, my son said he told me he interviewed with you, and I was wondering if you could hire him. He's a good kid. He works hard. You know, he wants to work in this automotive field." And Bill told her, "I'm sorry, Ellen. You know, if this guy that I'm going to hire doesn't work out, I'll give your son a shot." But some kid came in and nailed the interview. This kid named Jude Santa Cruz. My mom was like, "Hey, that's my son." And he's like, "All right, cool." So that worked out. You know, that was kind of a cool little story that anyways, yeah, you guys got it. It was easy. It wasn't, no need to explain that. Cool little story. So I worked there as a porter, in the service department. You know, I washed a shit ton of cars, man. Mop floors, parked cars, you know, whatever, threw out trash. Worked in the body shop there for a little bit as a porter as well, you know, sweeping floors and opening the shop up, closing the shop down, you know, whatever they wanted of me. Went back to the service department, changed a little bit of oil, you know, as I moved up, and also installed the security chips that if you take the chip, you know, the chip on your keychain, if you pull it out of the car, it doesn't start, you know. I did that for a while, but you know, I was making $5, you know, $5.25 an hour. Minimum wage was $4.25, and I was making $5.25. And my cousin's husband told me, "Hey, I can get you a job working with me in a warehouse. So they start you off at $9.50. And I was like, "All right, cool." So I left Toyota after, I'm going to say I worked there for about a year and a half. Then I went to this other place, you know, working in a warehouse, driving a forklift. And I did that for a little while, and I jumped around to different warehouse jobs, you know, just here and there, doing whatever I had to do. I don't know why I changed jobs so often, but I had a ton of jobs in the warehouse, but I was always able to get another good job, you know, leave one job and get a better job. I've always been fortunate that way. Then decided, you know, this is stupid going job to job. You know, I need to focus and get my life straight and figure something out. So one day I was flipping through TV, and I recognized this football player on TV, and it was on like a Christian Bible show or something like that. And his name was Herschel Walker, but I listened to his story, and I was like, man, he kind of inspired me. I was like, man, this dude's gone through a lot, man. Look at him now. He's successful. I'm like, I got to get going. I got to get my life together. Same night, I saw a infomercial for UTI now, Universal Technical Institute. And I saw how they have affiliations with Ford and Volvo and BMW and Mercedes. And I was like, oh, that's cool, you know. And at the time, I thought I wanted to be a BMW mechanic. So I called UTI, which wasn't far from my house, like 10 miles, you know, the Rancho Cucamonga campus. And this was on a Monday morning, and the recruiter there was like, yeah, come on in. I can show you the school today. By noontime, I had signed the papers, and I was going to go to UTI. I was like, all right, cool. I did the core program because you have to do that to get into any of those other dealership programs. So I did the core program, which is 15 3-week classes, or 3-week phases, I believe they call them. That was cool. Did well, got good grades, but I did not get into BMW. Took the test, passed it, interviewed. I don't know, maybe if I blew the interview or what it was, but they don't take everybody. It's not an elective, like everyone gets to go. They choose who they want, and they did not choose me. But the guy did tell me, he's like, well, why don't you go to the Ford program, which was an elective, because you pay for it, because BMW, I wouldn't have had to pay for it. They were going to pay for it. I was going to get a dealership to sponsor me. But Ford, I paid for. And he said, after you do the Ford program, we'll interview you again. I was like, all right, sounds good, whatever. So I did Ford FACT. FACT standing for Ford Accelerated Credential Training. And being that I ended up working for Ford for a long time, 15 years almost, I can tell you that 5 3-week courses that I took for Ford Fact, I've got training that would have probably, I wouldn't have gotten the 15 years I worked for Ford. I mean, because, I mean, it was a lot of certifications you need to do warranty work. So, which was cool. I did that, and then I interviewed and took the BMW test again. I passed the test, I interviewed, and this time I got accepted. But by this time, I had done the core program, and I did the fact program, and I didn't want to do another 6 months, you know. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go work for Ford. You know, I got all their training. I'm going to go work for Ford. And that's how I started working for Ford. I did start off as an apprentice in the heavy line department and used car department, which was cool because used car department, you work on kind of everything. It's almost like an independent shop type setting. But then the heavy line department was cool, you know. And in 2000, and I was on my own now. I was working on my own in 2000 by this time. But in 2000, and I've been on my own for a while actually. But in 2002, late 2002, when the 6.0 came out, they made diesel a department. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but when you work for a foreign dealership, usually it's a bumper-to-bumper ticket. So if a vehicle comes in for, you know, brakes, AC doesn't blow cold, and oil change and a check engine light, you know, those foreign dealerships, you clear the tech clears the ticket. When you work for a domestic dealer, you know, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, that's 4 different departments, and 4 different techs touch that vehicle. So when diesel became a department, I asked my boss for the position, and he told me nah, he had 2 other guys that he was going to give it to. One I thought absolutely should have it, and the other one I was kind of like skeptical, because like, man, this guy is a pansy, man. He never gets his hands dirty. Why are you giving him the job as a diesel guy? But whatever, you know, he got it. The first big job that this one guy, the one that I called the pansy, that he got, he had to pull a head off of a Ford Excursion, and he went straight by the book, taking off bumpers. And I don't remember every single step the book says, but the bumper was off, the grill was off, the radiator was out, the headlights were out. I mean, he took all kinds of stuff out to take off this head, passenger side. And you know, anyone who works on Fords or 6.0s knows, you know, that's not necessary. You know, none of that has to, hardly any of that has to come off. But I don't know if he got in over his head, or if he didn't like the shop, or whatever the reason was. You know, he had his truck completely torn down. Head was off. And we left work on a Friday. We came back on a Monday, and the guy was gone. He quit. And my boss went to the other diesel guy, because he had hired 2. And he said, hey, man, I want you to put it back together. And the dude's like, man, I'm not putting back together something someone else took apart. You're crazy. He's all, I'll pack up my toolbox and leave too. And my boss was like, no, don't do that. Then he came to me, and he's like, can you put that back together? He's like, you still want that job? If you put it back together, you can have it. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. He's like, all right, get this running by the end of the week, and you can have it. And I was like, all right, that's cool. So I got the truck running, and I even hit up the other guy for help. And the other guy, man, this guy was as cool as they come. His name was Miguel Ortega, and I'll never forget the guy, because he kind of took me under his wing, and he had a lot of experience. And even though the 6.0 was, you know, barely out, he took to it fast, and he showed me, or helped me with that truck. And then once I got the position, my boss was like, yeah, it's yours. This dude took me under his wing, and he helped me a lot. You know, we whenever I had a problem, he was always there to help me. And I wasn't an asshole, man. I didn't ask a ton of questions, you know, trying to, that I wasn't going to retain the information to. I didn't ask the same question over and over. You know, I had a notebook. I would write notes down, you know, because I wanted to learn this, and I wanted to do good at it. And I eventually became pretty good at it. So I do want to thank that guy, man, Miguel Ortega. I don't know if you'll ever see this, but man, I appreciate you a lot. You know, but anyways, I worked at that dealership for a while as a diesel mechanic, and then I went to another dealership closer to home, and then I went to another dealership because my boss took me with him, and then another dealership because my new boss took me with him. And you know, I've worked at 4 dealerships for around 15 years. Then I left, opened a shop with a couple other guys. I'm not going to get into that whole story. It just didn't work out. You know, I got a little more into detail in my very first video ever. If you want to see that, go check it out. But that didn't work out. So now I kind of do my own thing. You know, I work mobile. I work out of my garage mostly, or my parking spaces behind my garage anyway. I got a job. I work for Procter & Gamble, you know, forklift stuff, because I need insurance. You know, I've got a family, and I can't pay health insurance on my own. So I do have a 9 to 5. I work, well, I have a 6 to 4. I work 4 10s, you know, Monday through Thursday, and then on the weekends I do all my own stuff. Get everything lined up during the week, you know, on my breaks and after work, and then you know, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm taking care of everything I got to take care of. But look back at my notes, you know, that's my story as to how I got to my where I being a mechanic, and you know, I told you a little bit more about TTS again, Teck's Talking Shop. My future, man, I kind of like to open a shop again, get the capital up and open a shop, which is perfect, because that's why I'm so glad I'm part of this group. You know, we all got together because I got all these different fields that everybody works in, whether it's, like I said, big trucks, over the road, you know, heavy equipment, all that stuff. And, you know, I can learn from them, and, you know, it's going to help me if I ever open a shop again. I know it is. You know, but check all these channels out, man. I'm going to name them off again. You know, Antonio Orozco, Nuts and Bolts with Tone, Key Built It, Kentucky Teck, Teck May, Princess Jamie, Turbo TyTy, Davion Martinez, One Mechanic, myself, PowerStroke Jude. You might just find yourself stuck, man. You know, going back and back and back. You know, hopefully that's the kind of content we're going to put out where you guys like it, where you enjoy it, where you want it, where you look forward to the next video, you know, and you're bummed out when you finish the series. You know, if we all do a video on a topic and we're done, you're going to be like, oh, that sucks. You know, kind of just like me with Cobra Kai. You know, I can't, well, I think it comes out, shoot, on the 1st, well, today. I got to go watch that, man. I'm so stoked to watch that. But anyways, now that's not about Cobra Kai, but hopefully, man, you guys can get hooked on us and like the stuff we offer, and hopefully you guys can learn from us. You know, comment on our channels when you want to, when there's something you want to hear us talk about. You know, comment on our channels if you want to correct us, or tell us something that a different way, a different perspective. You know, if you have a different perspective too, we'd love to hear it. That's all. You know, if you guys want to get an opinion on what toolbox to buy, man, go check out Nuts and Bolts, because the dude's got like 50 of them. You know, if you want to raise a Jeep, you know, go check out Princess Jamie. You know, I mean, everybody's got something to offer, man. If you want to know what the fleet life is about, man, talk to One Mechanic. You know, we've all got something that we can offer you guys, I hope. But it should be pretty fun, man. So anyways, I'm going to cut it short, but I'm getting close to 20 minutes, and I did not want to go over 20 minutes on this video. But please, like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Until next time, or until later today, when I probably see you guys on a stream. You know, we'll probably be chatting in the chat later on tonight. PowerStroke Jude, out.